I'm the Regional Development Manager, or one of the Regional Development Managers for Libraries Connected, and you're here for the Regional Development Offer webinar session. So this is where we're going to, over the next hour maximum, we'll be introducing the Regional Development Team's offer for Libraries Connected, on behalf of Libraries Connected. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for signing up. We've got quite a lot to get through today, which is really useful and interesting for us to actually see and hear from other people than just ourselves. So we have three other heads of libraries who are coming to talk and intersperse our Libraries Connected talk. So we've got Christine May from Yorkshire and Humber, Russell Allen from the South East, and we've got Emma Wellard from the South West regions. So at various points we'll be handing over to them to talk a little bit about their regions and how they are progressing their regional work and the help and support, hopefully they'll be able to say, that the Regional Development Team are offering. So we're going to kick off now with just a bit of an introduction from our Commercial Director, Ian Moore. So I'll hand you over to that, and Tabitha, if you can start the presentation, that would be great.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you everyone for joining as well. It's really, really exciting to be doing this doing this program. It forms one of the kind of core parts of our strategy over the next few years, and it's all in response to the work the regional team has done over the past years. So the team of regional leads that we've got that feed into our advisory group. Our ambition really is to develop the library networks, the regional library networks, as strategic partnerships, to try and deliver social impact at scale and secure resources and investments from national, regional and sub-regional resources. So what that really means is that we want all of the regions to work together in a way and be supported to work together in a way that allows them to bring money in and really get some kind of commercial deals or some project deals to start to deliver stuff and bring additional funding into the libraries. We did initially include it as part of our IPSO bid, the new NPO, and it came out of there in the end, which I think is a really positive thing, because we've now got it supported direct from the library's development budget, Luke Burton's budget, for full 3 years. We've also been supported by the Combined Regions as well, and the Combined Regions is an organisation that some of you might know. I'd never come across them before, but it's a group of libraries that's worked together with the whole library sector across England to identify opportunities to work together regionally. I think it came out of interlibrary loans and things in the first place, but is now looking at how it can use the funds that it's got to really oil the wheels of some of this work. So using kind of some funding as seed funding to develop bigger ideas and start to grow things from there. We're nearly 6 months in now, and we've learned a huge amount in the project setup phase. Unfortunately, we're saying goodbye to Tabitha as she's moving on to fantastic things as Chief Executive Askell. But we are really excited to join Clancy Mason as well, for Clancy Mason to join us as another regional development manager. I don't know whether Clancy's there to want to say hi or.
Hi Ian, yes, hello everybody. I'm really excited to be joining you rather than you joining me, Ian. That's really good. And yeah, I've been made really, really welcome by the team and really looking forward to getting stuck in. And yeah, I'm very familiar with services in the North. You know, I've been working at Arts Council for the past sort of 6.5 years. So yeah, looking forward to sort of doing much more work across all of the regions with Nick, my wonderful new colleague that I'll be working closely with. So yes, thanks Ian.
Fantastic, thank you, and welcome Clancy, and we'll be Clancy will be joining us towards the end of April as well. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about where the regional development team sits within our broader model. So if we can have a look at the next slide as well. So we're looking at kind of coming out of the future funding program, so 3 levels of support. A national level, so we've got that future funding program, and we might be looking at running that again, or looking at different ways to feed out a lot of the learning around that. Looking at national commercial opportunities like the UKVI service, but we're wanting a bigger menu of things for that. And then also ULOs and things sit with that too. regionally, we're then looking at sort of three key areas: sort of support for regional development. So what do the regions want to look like? Direct support for partnerships and bids. So ways to really get that funding in there, but then also capacity to enable the delivery of regional projects as well. And then on a local level, looking at things like income generation tools, skills webinars, and knowledge sharing as well. One of the key things we really want to do, as well as highlighting and thanking the combined regions, is really highlight the role of the Arts Council in this. And I think Luke Burton is on the call. So I don't know whether, Luke, you just wanted to talk a little bit about why you felt this was the best way of delivering it, and also why your commitment to the regional development work.
Thanks, Ian, and thanks for the chance to talk. Yeah. I mean, this was kind of this was a decision that was taken, as Ian said, around the last investment round, and the funding comes directly from the libraries team here, and I think that's a reflection of the commitment that Arts Council have to working with Libraries Connected. I think the suggestion was, put your money where your mouth is, if you like, from the Arts Council side of things. So it was kind of it felt like a natural thing to do. I have to say, as a former head of service in Newcastle, through the COVID response, Libraries Connected were invaluable to that. They got me and many other heads of service through incredibly difficult times, and the support that was provided there kind of shone a light even more on what Libraries Connected could offer to libraries. And I think through the regional approach, it's, as Ian's been saying, it kind of builds on the work that's already been done at a national level, but acknowledging that there are those regional and local differences, and while it adds capacity and allows things to be done at scale, it also allows some of that focus to be done at that regional level. So as well as building on the COVID response, it's also an opportunity to address things like devolution deals and other local situations where there are opportunities to feed into supporting communities in wider ways and accessing hopefully further funding pots and opportunities for funding at a local level. And then I suppose regionally as well, it's harnessing some of that great work that already happens through those regional Libraries Connected groups. And again, having sat in the Northeast Libraries regional group and benefited from the knowledge sharing and the support from Clancy as an RM. I have to stop myself booing every time you say that Clancy is going to Libraries Connected, but that says more about me than the fact that we're losing Clancy. But yeah, so I think it's really it's Arts Council really see the benefit in Libraries Connected being able to build on what they've done and have that deeper regional support, but also that stuff at scale. So I think from our point of view, it was an easy decision to put that additional funding in there, and you're already starting to see the benefits from it. And I think Nick and Tabitha and I have had a really good feedback from attending some of the road shows that we've had and being able to get the word out there. So it's the start of and the beginnings of something that's looking like it's going to be really impactful.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Luke. I'm just going to pass you straight across to Nick, and he's going to then talk about the actual work and what's coming out from that as well.
Yes, thanks Ian and Luke. Thank you for setting the scene, and we'll recap some of those points about regional working and the different approaches in the different regions. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about our offer and how we've gone about the first, I suppose, 6 months, Tabitha and I. We're very much of the ilk of we like to do and listen and approach and adapt what we do to what we hear coming back from the different regions. And just to clarify as well that actually, although Libraries Connected works across Northern Ireland, Wales, Crown Dependencies and England, this is very much focused on the English 9 regions in this. I'm going to hopefully say first phase of the incarnation of the regional development team. So we were very much keen about going out there and listening and talking to the different regional groups and operate in an open and listening way and having conversations. And actually, just thanks to lots of heads of service who came and dropped in actually in those first couple of months. We had some really insightful conversations. They just dropped in and talked to us and Chad, our admin, as well, and we really got some great insights which helped us in then those conversations with each of the regional teams as well. So we expect to adapt. So we're doing a launch today. This is work in progress. So we'll talk a bit about our core offer. So this is about, really what we have listened and adapted and sort of brought to bear to the way that we want to operate and work with the region. So we'll be introducing that. And then we're thinking about what an enhanced offer might look like. So and that might be dependent on that point about diversifying income and what Ian has said earlier about actually how can we leverage in money from other resources regionally to actually help them grow both the capacity within the regional network, but also the regional development team itself at a national level. So we're currently offering the core offer. And Tabitha's going to go through some of that, how we've developed that, our thinking around those core offers. And we'll finish up really after we've heard from the three regional reps a bit about where we're going to go with that afterwards. And there'll be time for some Q&A. I forgot to say that. Obviously, we'll be trying to factor that in at the end. But obviously, we're trying to work with each of the regions in the way that they work best, which is mutual support, confidentiality and trust. So hopefully we're going to hear first of all from Christine. If Christine May from Yorkshire and Humber is in the room, are you?
I am, Nick.
Great,
Yes.
Christine, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I've been asked to talk about three things. Firstly, how we have been working with the regional development team. And I would say that the support has really, it started before the setup of the regional development team, in that as a sub-region of the 5 West Yorkshire libraries reached out and had the support of Ian for some early bids to CRF and SPF funding through the West Yorkshire Combined Authority, and really supported us with commercial experience, bid writing experience, around some pretty tough, complex bids around increasing our digital inclusion support, and also maintaining and growing our BIPC network. So although those bids ultimately weren't successful, I don't think that is obviously a very competitive arena that we're competing in. But I think what came out of that was quite a lot of learning, but also an understanding that those sub-regional networks are quite important for our region. So West Yorkshire is already there as a combined authority, but we've got, I think, 3 others coming forward rapidly now. And that stakeholder holds a lot of money and agendas that we are keen to get our hands on, I suppose. So so what we've been doing since Ian's support is Tabitha and Nick have also continued that a little bit around the West Yorkshire grouping, thought what next. We actually managed to rule out some options, which sometimes is as helpful as progressing other ones, and clarify. I think it's been a great process of challenge and clarifying our focus and where we go next. So that's been helpful. But more importantly, I think widening that out to the work with the wider regional network. So we have an annual strategic plan for West Yorkshire and Humber libraries, Yorkshire and Humber libraries, which is quite ambitious. And the regional development team has been supporting us primarily around 2 of those. One was around advocacy, marketing and fundraising. And we had a subgroup which Tabitha and Nick helped facilitate a workshop session where we really challenged our thinking and our focus and clarified the kind of stakeholders that we really wanted to focus on. And really came up with the idea that what we wanted from this work was a kind of smaller scale version of what Libraries Connected does for us nationally, i.e., brokering those big relationships, not at national scale, but a regional scale, and finding opportunities for contracts, commissions, and fundraising on behalf of us all. So that's very much what we're focused on. The other area that we're looking at is skills development for our heads of service network and possibly the layers below as well. So around succession planning, and also been supporting our thinking around that, and possibly helping us with some development days out of that as well. So a lot going on. I was asked to talk about the benefits of working with the team, very much about capacity. So things like, some of the desk research, some of that thinking and preparation and writing up that we just don't have time to do in our busy days operationally. Challenge, but from a real point of support. So we know that the team is very experienced and knowledgeable and comes from a library background, absolutely understand our day-to-day pressures. So it comes challenge with support, I would say. Skills, so things like the bid writing, the commercial experience that they bring, massively helpful. And practical things like Libraries Connected National is obviously a constituted organisation, so it's able to put bids in on our behalf, which we couldn't do as a non-constituted organisation, and to bank the monies for us as bankers. So those are actually really important benefits for us. So in terms of where next, we've agreed to use our 10K combined authorities funding to progress that piece of work around advocacy, doing more research, tender for someone to come on board with us and really help us progress where those big opportunities are, whether it's business, whether it's some of those big regional stakeholders like the combined authorities. So I think that's going to move us on a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. That's really good. The fivers in the post. Great. No, thank you for that. And actually, that's just obviously triggered off in my mind that actually when Tabitha and I and Chad have been working, we've also found that actually we're not working as a separate program within Libraries Connected. We are working across Libraries Connected. So being able to connect up with the other projects and programs with, you know, that we hear about at the regional meetings. So the Know Your Neighbourhoods and the ULOs, the refresh and things like that. It feels so integrated, and now working as well closely with the regional managers in the Arts Council as well. And we've got one coming to join us. It feels like we're just starting to make those networks a lot stronger, which is great. So that reinforces the fact that there is a need there that hopefully we are meeting. So yeah, so okay, back to the presentation. Thank you for that, Christine. Yes. Yes, so our building blocks, how did we go about approaching the work? As I said, that we were listening and having conversations at the regional meetings and with individual heads of libraries and the regional leads. And this is effectively our starting point, our building blocks. So the 6 blocks you see in the middle, which are nicely color coded now. Thank you, Tabitha. That we're working on along the lines of strong governance, aligned priorities, funding and income, capacity building, advocacy, impact, and effective partnerships, which you would expect us to. They were if you like, the things that we were inquiring about when we have conversations with the regional networks, and therefore they're the areas that we're starting to work with. It's a work in progress. Phase 1, we might find that there are other building blocks that we need to develop capacity and skills and understanding and be able to reflect back to the networks on as well. But the primary point about this slide is really that actually we're here to enable stronger regional delivery, more sustainable regions that benefit the communities that use public libraries and our services. So we need to have a weather eye out for actually, is the work that we're doing helping you to generate and work more strongly together so that you can deliver and feel that you're delivering at scale for your communities. So I'll now pass over to Tabitha to go through each of those blocks and talk a little bit about the offer that we have developed alongside those. Okay, over to you, Tabitha.
Thank you, Nick. I'm just going to try and move over the slide. Multitasking. So each of those building blocks has within it a set of kind of subheadings. And actually, there's nothing new in these subheadings. You will have seen these conversations happening in your regions already. And so really, we've compiled these building blocks and these subheadings and the whole offer based around what we've been hearing. But what this is helping us to do is to show everybody all of those conversations. So if you're looking at one particular area of priority at the moment, you'll be able to come back to this offer and see what we might have been doing with other regions and kind of go, yes, we want a bit of that as well, so that you're not missing out, so that we're being really transparent about what it is that we're doing across the whole country. So we're not going to go in depth through all of these subheadings, but what we have got is a document that we'll send out to you all afterwards so that you can have a really good look. And we're really keen to get feedback on this. And I say we because I still feel like it's we, even though I'm handing it over as of tomorrow. It's something that I believe really strongly in. And so I'm just, yeah, going to be championing it from a different angle. So really keen to get that feedback because it's going to grow and adapt as the kind of programme moves forward. So what you will see is we've pulled out just one part of the document to give you a bit of an example really on what it looks like. So funding and income is a really key area of this programme. And so the types of things that we can help with in the core offer, and some of the regions will already have seen this, is to review funding opportunities so that you can have information from us that kind of tells you whether you're eligible to bid, tells you the need to know information so that you can look at that opportunity and say, yes, we want to progress it into a bit more detail, or no, actually, it's not for us. So as Christine was saying, making those quick decisions and putting things down so that you can move on to the next area of focus. We can help with bid writing and contract tender writing, working with a small group from your region. Stakeholder mapping, so we can look at things like kind of corporate partnerships, sponsorship opportunities, and it's really just about thinking, how can we help you to take that next step forward to achieve your goals? I think it's worth noting that we aren't going to be able to do all of this for all regions at once. So we are going to have to be really careful about managing our time and really setting expectations about what's possible. And again, you know, really keen to be transparent about that. And I think it's probably also worth noting at this stage that it would be really great if this support was available at a local level as well. And we know that would be needed, but we are looking to do it at a regional level so that we can really amplify it and do this at scale. I am hoping to hand over to Russell now, so that he can talk to us about the work that they're looking at in the South East. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Thanks, Tabitha. Have I managed to unmute?
Yes, you have. You're with us.
I don't do Zoom unless it's a webinar and you just sit and listen. So I'm struggling with where all the buttons are. Good afternoon. My name is Russell Allen. I'm the Head of Libraries and Heritage in West Sussex. So that's part of the South East region. So I think Nick approached us to see if we could come along and have a chat. And we said yes, but wanted to be sure that we would be helpful and contribute stuff that would be useful. So I hope this is helpful and useful. I feel a little bit like I'll say things that everybody else will say that's exactly what it's like in our regions. It won't be revelatory, but the best boss I ever had told me that when you go to a conference or a webinar or a seminar, if you hear things that you're doing, you feel really good that you're doing those too, and that they're not better than you and they're not worse than you, and actually it's reassuring. So on that basis, I hope that lots of this sounds familiar, but is also reassuring or supportive in some way. So in the South East, we are, I think there are South East colleagues on here who might disagree or correct me, but they can do it in the chat or wait until I drop off the call if that's okay to save my blushes. But I'm pretty sure we're 21 library services across 19 authorities and 2 Crown dependencies. And I'm sure, just like all your regions, we feel really diverse and spread out and all quite different. So I think we operate our library services in some cities, in some boroughs, in some big shire counties. We have views from our libraries that are seasides or rolling green belt or high urban areas, and we have big libraries and little libraries, and libraries that we adore going to, and libraries that we feel sad when we get there because we wish we could make them a little bit better. But the thing that unites us all is that we are delivering the very best library services that we possibly can in the constraints of our time, and we all come together to recognise that we all share that as our job, our remit, our passion. I think that's obvious. I think that's the same as all of you. So we all share the things that are across the universal offers really of reading, digital inclusion, wanting to give our residents trusted information, and essentially bringing everyone together in our library spaces. I say that because I think that leads into where we're at as a region and how we've kind of arrived at this point in our evolution or revolution. So we, coming out of lockdowns, around that time, it kind of coincided with a lot of retirements. And I mean, with the greatest of love and respect, that a lot of big beasts have left our sector in the Southeast, and we miss them lots and lots. So I really mean that with a lot of respect. But so we've had like generational change effectively. Lots of heads of service have changed, and we now have that as a new element of our diversity. There is a richness in our backgrounds and levels of experience that wasn't the same maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So we see that as another strength, but it is another element of why we come together to share, because some people have got very, very long-term library backgrounds and have literally been here since they were a lad and worked their way up. Other people have swung in from other parts of the council, actively and assertively or in other circumstances. So for that reason, we really kind of re-established our network first and foremost as a supportive network, and knowing who's at the end of an email, a telephone call or a Teams chat. On top of that, more practically, we've been re-establishing ourselves as an actual constituted group. So we had a lot of quite ad hoc meetings through COVID, which were really helpful because you could grab 45 minutes via Teams and just check with people what they were doing, were they still quarantining books, all those kinds of things. But we've really tried to move back to more a sense of normality as a supportive group. So we want to commit to in-person meetings where we can, so that we get the benefit of seeing each other, having the coffee break chat, but also getting out and seeing some of the wonderful libraries our region has and the innovation that's just on our doorsteps. And we think that's really important, but we also know some of us in the region really can't make the case. It's impossible to make the case to travel. So our virtual platform is here to stay to enable us to be a strong Southeast regional group. So that's kind of the context for our region, and why we think this is a perfect time for us to have regional development managers, for us to say, come and help us, because we are re-establishing, regrowing, or taking ourselves onto, I'm not sure what sequel it would be, whether it's 2.0, 3.0, or something even higher than that. But we definitely want to be a 2024 onwards Southeast group. So in our sites, we've re-established the universal offer groups. So we've connected people across our library services around those groups, which had gone into abeyance, had gone into a weird set of circumstance. And that's been really invigorating for us as a region and us as heads of service to know that we've got colleagues and different people in our services at different ages and stages in their career, but they're connecting and talking about their common interests and expertise. And that is already proving to be reinvigorating across our sector in the Southeast. We have an ambition here in the Southeast, a collective ambition across us all, I think, to build on the Libraries for Living report. And we think we've secured a little bit of funding from our own subs, if you like, our own kitty in the Southeast. And we want to grow that ambition and that little bit of money into a real piece of work that would commission an impact study to sit alongside Libraries for Living and the East region work, but to be based here in the Southeast. And absolutely, people on the screen from the regional development team and Ian have been really helpful in us picking up the learning and the lessons learned from the East, forming that, and also not reinventing the wheel, so the documentation that we can. So we're still, that's a long piece of work, and we're not anywhere near commissioning something yet, but we are on the journey to doing that. And that's been thanks to Libraries Connected colleagues who've been able to help us make those first steps. And I guess we are, what we're really looking to the regional development team for is to build on what we have. So the assets we've already got in the Southeast, which is really trusted relationships. Lots of us went through COVID together as heads of service or in our library services, and people have come along in the last 2 or 3 years and have formed those relationships because out of necessity of needing to know, I'm now responsible for a library service. Can you tell me what that's all about? And so we've got those trusted relationships, and what we really, really hope this will bring is additional capacity, and I think that's been said several times. And I guess I'm thinking of it as a kind of gluey capacity, glue-like is probably a better word. So we have brilliant ideas when we're together in the region, and then we go back to our day jobs and on our home libraries, and sometimes we lose that, and then an email comes back a fortnight later and you say, oh, yeah, we were going to do that together. And it's sort of, it's not for the lack of will, it's real life gets in between. So if the regional teams can offer us any glue that links our capacity together even better than we already try ourselves, that would be really, really welcome. And I guess the history of libraries that I've grown up in is that we share our ideas across borders. And if there's another way of doing that, an even more active catalyst for sharing innovation, that has got to be welcome. And I guess if I finish, I would think that lots of us on this screen who've been in libraries a long time will have worked with partners and agencies that have regional arms. So the challenges that can come with that sometimes, and the things that we'll be looking for, is that we work between there's a fine line to be trodden between being active but not overbearing, enabling but not kind of all-encompassing, and supportive but not supine, I think are the words I wrote down. So we want to work with you, and I know you want to work with us. So I think altogether we'll make it a really collaborative endeavour, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Russell. I'm sure there's a lot in there that will have resonated with everybody in the room in terms of the context that we're working in, but also the opportunity that we have and the power of working together. So thank you very much for framing that so articulately, Russell. I'm going to share the screen again. So the other component part that sits within the offer that we'll be pinging around to you all is a generic delivery model. And we've done some work to map some good practice and some discussions that have already happened. So we've used examples like the West Yorkshire bids that we put together, or Ian put together with the West Yorkshire team, to really, those bids were very detailed in terms of how delivery would work and where governance would work, etc. We've got things like the UKVI contract that we already deliver in different parts of the country with different library services. So look at how that model works. We've also looked at things like pre-existing or previous regional projects. So in the Southwest, there's a really good model of how they commission touring theatre, for example, or kind of a reading programme and a kind of author-based programme to go into libraries across the region. And so we've looked at all of those things to build this generic delivery model, which will act as a bit of a template. So when a region wants to put in a bid for a tender, or wants to go for a funding opportunity, or wants to review governance more broadly, we'll be able to bring this along, and it will really help the discussions to be able to say, this is how it could work, and how do you want it to work for this particular project in this specific kind of funding opportunity. I think the other thing to say, looking into the future, is about how Libraries Connected is really interested in that ongoing conversation about how, as a charity, it develops to support libraries as well. So, how can Libraries Connected hold the governance, hold the money, as Christine was saying, kind of hold different things that might reduce the risks and overcome some of the barriers and the restrictions that you're going to continue to face at a local authority level. So that conversation will be ongoing as projects develop, as new things happen, but also wanting to really kind of bring that good practice back and develop. And I think the other thing that we've had an eye on is how the regional groups might develop in their own right. So thinking about how other charities work in terms of kind of governance, federated branch structures, for example, and how, if there was enough money to build a team at a regional level, what that might look like, and how that could help library services at a regional level as well. And the other thing really that we're keen to kind of ask in this session is for the ongoing commitment, which is brilliant at a regional level, to share at a regional level, but also to share at a national level as well. So as things move forward in your region, to be really generous in sharing back, so that other parts of the country can follow the lead and learn from some of the difficult things that you've had to overcome, so that we're not reinventing that wheel, as Russell was saying. So I'm going to bring in Emma now from the Southwest, from North Somerset. So Emma, over to you.
Thank you, Tabitha, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm here representing Libraries Connected Southwest, and a few of my colleagues are on the call today, so great that they're here too. I should say I'm going to talk to you about a project which we're doing as a region, but it also encompasses 4 of our neighbours from the Southeast region, due to the different segmentation of regions from Arts Council to Libraries Connected. So just a bit of proviso there. So in the Southwest, we have been working together successfully for years, but we recognised all those challenges that everybody else has been talking about as to where we can go forwards. So we've worked very closely with a couple of other regional development organisations, one of which, of course, is Arts Council England. So Lynn from Arts Council is our relationship manager, and she comes along to our Southwest regional meetings, and so she's very aware of the issues that we're all facing as a region. So kind of with that in mind, we put in a bid in the Southwest for £25,000 to Arts Council Southwest Area Funds to undertake some research into opportunities and challenges around applying for and delivering grant-funded projects from the National Lottery project grants, and also other funding routes as well. Now, this is building on a project which was carried out in London with great success. It's not exactly the same, but talking about sharing expertise, we just thought, well, that's great, so why reinvent the wheel? So we were really happy that we were able to get the money to undertake this project, which actually complements the Libraries Connected Regional Development Programme, which, you know, we've been hearing about today, but with the aim of developing regional public library networks as strategic partnerships that can deliver social impacts at scale, funded by investment. So the bid's led by the relationship manager from ACE, and we have been able to bring in some consultants, Independent Mind, led by Katie Pekakar and her colleague Bethany Rex, who've been brought in as delivery partners from the project. And the grant is going to cover a mapping of the Southwest Library sector and also the Southeast a little bit to find out what our priorities are and the key partnerships which already exist. And we are lucky in the Southwest because there are a number of really strong partnerships which already exist. And we have other partners that work with us. So Swirls is the cross-sector organisation which represents Southwest Regional Library Services, which brings another aspect to the work that we do. And also we're linked in with CILIP Southwest as well. So we've got some really strong development organisations already, and we were just keen to understand the relative strengths of each, and we didn't want to duplicate anywhere, and we all want to work together. So we wanted to understand that a bit more. We also wanted to explore the barriers to fundraising and delivery of new projects in our area. So the methodology is that we're going to have face-to-face surveys with all Southwest Library Services heads of service or nominated other, and do some mapping and develop the opportunities that are informed by the mapping exercise, and then initiate and evaluate a pilot mentoring program, and then deliver a final report and sharing events. Now, we've approached this through developing a working party with various people from around the region, and Gloucestershire, as our one of our NPOs, are the lead authority for the group, and they're holding the funds from ACE. And Libraries Connected are playing a key role in all of this. So the regional development manager, Tabitha and Nick, are kind of sharing the work, are taking a role as observer and critical friend, and they're considering how the outcomes and the project fits in with their work with the regions. So a bit more about the project and what it involves. We're currently in phase 1. We're almost at the end of phase 1, and the consultants have been doing the mapping exercise. They've been doing some face-to-face interviews. There's been a survey that's gone out as well, and it's going to result in a sharing day in April and a report which is currently being written with some recommendations. And that will inform what happens in phase 2 of the project. And we don't want to sort of prejudge what that's going to look like until this first part has concluded. But ahead of all of this, we held a development day in the Southwest, and it was really nice because it's one of the first face-to-face, I think probably the first face-to-face meeting we'd had since the COVID lockdowns. And so there were some people we hadn't met together as a group before, and it was just a really good opportunity to catch up with everybody. And at that meeting, we talked about our services' current priorities and various streams. The usual ones that we've all been talking about this afternoon came out. And what challenges we're facing individually and as regions, and what support do we need as regions and as an individual service moving forward. And I think this is the part that really hooks in with the regional development work, because it talks about, I mean, all those things that were listed today: peer support, bid writing, fundraising, collaborative working, procurements, advocacy. It all came out really strongly through that initial piece of work that we did. So where we are at the moment, excuse me, we've had a quick look at the preliminary results. Excuse me one second. And they will be shared in more detail at the sharing day, which again is going to be in person in Exeter in April, and we're really looking forward to it. And Nick will be coming along and helping to facilitate that discussion and the workshops there. We have already had the one-to-one surveys, which topics covered, including perception of Arts Council England, attitudes towards applying for funding, the support available from Arts Council England, and exploring ideas about joint working as a region and what support needs people would have. And at the sharing day, we're going to share the key findings from those interviews and surveys, and develop a set of enablers for participation for joint funding applications. In other words, what do we need to be able to take part effectively in future joint funding applications? And again, this hopefully will feed into the work of the regional development team. And then we're going to develop 3 or 4 ideas for future joint applications, and identify areas for future co-support. And for example, how we could support each other through peer support, development support provided by Libraries Connected or ACE, external support, and basically who is best placed to offer the support and how could it be offered. And then finally, to build consensus around what we want to do in phase 2. So that's a really quick run through of our project that we're currently working on in the Southwest, but it's really exciting and there's so much coming out of it and so much potential for Libraries Connected to pick up for the regional development role and really help us to move forward. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma. It's great to hear the momentum that's being built in the Southwest, but also great to hear how you've been inspired by another region. And that's brilliant. All of those dots being connected up and that collaboration. I'm going to hand over to Nick now, I think, to do the next bit.
Thanks, Tabitha. If you can share the next step slides, because obviously there's always got to be a next step. Just hearing from Russell and Emma there really helped me, I suppose, visualize. I'm quite a visual person. I like to visualize how the regional development team will evolve. So we want to be both gluey and sticky, but we also want to be slick and enabling. So I'm not sure what the animal that would represent such a thing, maybe a snail on roller skates. But anyway, I'll leave that image with you. But definitely that idea that actually we want to enable you to access our resource efficiently so that you can both help your regional networks to make decisions about where you want to go and put your efforts, because you know, the message that we're getting is that obviously time is precious. There are so many demands that people are finding that they need. So part of our job must be to help you to get access to that information that's happened in another part of the country as quickly and as easily as possible for you to make an assessment, and also how you can ask us for that support. So you'll have our core offer and we'll be working towards our enhanced offer, but it's how do you actually utilize the regional development team through your regional groups to best effect. And that's what will evolve, and we'll find better ways of doing that, and we will work with you on that. So, but first of all, the next step is that we want to publish the offer document. So after this webinar, maybe not immediately, because being Tabitha's last day tomorrow, we are all meeting up and we will be wanting to pass on lots of information there. So don't look out for it in your inbox tomorrow, but maybe by the end of the week we'll get something out to you, and obviously we will put notifications on Basecamp and hopefully on the website as well to say whether that's available or where we've got to with regard to the regional development team's offer. So we are probably in, I suppose this is the second tour around all the regional meetings. We had Super Tuesday, was it last week, March the 12th? I think we had about 4, thank goodness for teams. We were able to be in 4 different parts of the country each last Tuesday, and Chad as well, our erstwhile admin support is great, and obviously somebody who's helped run libraries in Sheffield, so he sometimes is dropping into your meetings as well, and well able to pass on what's happening in the regional development team and bringing back your asks and requests. So it won't just be Clancy and myself, it will also be Chad as well. And we're wanting to have more in-depth conversations. So we're going to continue the work that we did with those one-on-ones, one-to-ones, where any head of service could come and have a chat. We're thinking actually that Chad, myself, Ian in the interim, and Clancy will be obviously joining us at the end of April, that we would probably want to talk to you about what you've seen in the offer and the document, and how that can be developed and accessed. So we'll be continuing with helping you spend the Combined Regions Fund. So thanks to the Combined Regions. I'm not sure if Mark McCree's on the call today, but thanks very much for enabling us to have a bit of bunts, I suppose, that to work with you all on, because it's really helped us frame conversations about what to do and how to enable you to achieve what you need to do in the regions. So we have a regional development board which we want to initiate and start, which would actually have an oversee of what the work is that we're doing. It provides us a great opportunity to consider how we're spending our resources on the different projects and initiatives that we could be working on, and actually feedback to our board to say, is this the right thing to meet the objectives of what we were set up for? So that's what we're hoping to. We're going to have some Q&As now. I just wondered, while you're thinking of what that might be, because you've heard quite a lot, I don't know whether Isabel's on the call, our voice of reason, our chief exec. If you're there, Isabella, maybe you just wanted to chip in at this point while people were thinking what they might want to ask a question of. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. It's great to see how much work the regional team has done. They've certainly done the miles on the railways, getting out to meetings and synthesising what we see as your needs and how we can meet them. So I hope you've got a sense that this is a programme that we're trying to build absolutely around your needs and opportunities. And I'm quite excited about the next 6 months to a year, when we move past this kind of mapping and planning stage and into delivery, and see some of the projects really starting to take off. And most excitingly, hopefully some bids going in, so we can start bringing more resource into libraries, which is the ultimate aim. So like Nick, I also want to say thanks to the Combined Regions, because it was brilliant to get that additional money for the project. That was really quite a wonderful surprise. And also, of course, to Arts Council for funding this work as part of our role, to expand our role as a investment principles support organisation and membership body. So we're hoping again that as we get more bids happening, we can, over the longer term, grow the team more. So we're sort of constantly snowballing a bit bigger. So I don't know if anyone's got any questions. Gosh, I think you've stunned everyone into
I hope not.
silence.
This is when you think we should have primed somebody, shouldn't we? And then see, actually, we weren't that organised, were we?
We're happy to hear from any of the other regions as well, if they want to talk about any of the work that we've been doing together. It's always good to share.
I think I'd just like to reiterate actually something that I think Russell was saying about reforging the links across the region using their ULO structures, that actually finding new colleagues or colleagues that weren't known in the network or the region who have great enthusiasm and drive. And I think that's one of the things that both Tabitha and I have found quite astounding, was actually in going around, despite all the problems, despite all the issues and concerns, and obviously the financial restraint, there is such great desire, especially at the management team level, for people to continue to develop and work collaboratively and across the region and maybe between regions, to actually improve the services and delivery for their library service patrons, and that's been quite inspirational, really, and a great motivator and a drive for us. So thanks for sharing that, Russell. I know he's had to go, but it was certainly something that rang true with me. Oh, have we got anything in the chat?
We've got something in, have we? Oh no,
I think it's Ed. He's had to go.
All right.
Yeah, we'll scrub that bit from the
Emily.
editing. Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
Ask a question. Hope it's not too difficult a question, but I think you alluded to the future sustainability of the team and how you might go about securing that through raising funding. But of course, probably mostly what we'll be doing is raising funding for the library services. So like the Sopra Steria, for example, as a particular example, that income is going back to the library services, not into Libraries Connected. So I don't know if you've got any more thoughts that you can share at this stage about, because obviously we found your support immensely helpful. And if we can find a way to sustain that for the long term, that would be great. So just wondered if you've got anything to add to that at all.
If that's that one for Ian. Ian, have you got some?
Yeah. So the way we structured the Community Renewal Fund bid, the original pre-SPF Levelling Up grant, the bid was included some funding for a Libraries Connected regional project manager, who would support that. But then also we'd be building in a little bit extra capacity to then contribute to the team. So the idea is that if we've got a couple of bids across the country in, then that might contribute a little bit. If we've got a load of bids that are running at different regions, different times, then they'll all kind of start to contribute enough to really kind of come together and aggregate to be the funding for the team. So, for example, with the UKVI service, we take 4% commission from that, and that supports then the delivery of it. But then it also puts something into supporting the development of new things as well. So it would be that kind of thing where we're trying to take some of the funding to invest in the next bid and everything like that.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Obviously, we'd be very keen for the regional development team to move into another phase as well. So we'll be looking for opportunities, obviously.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably worth saying as well that we see this as setting up a new structure for the organisation and for the sector, rather than it being a defined project. We kind of see this as a long-term ambition of ours, I think.
Okay.
Do we want to share the Menti?
Yeah. I always think of small round mints when you say Menti. I don't know why. Is that a 1970s thing? Were they? No, I don't know. Tic Tacs? No, that's it. Share the Menti thing. Right. Okay. If there are no questions, obviously you can connect with us at regional@librariesconnected.org.uk. So please feel free to send us email. You'll know us individually, but it's probably best to go through the regional one, seeing as we're getting a little bit of a handover between Tabitha and Clancy and a bit of a gap in between there. Yes, there's a Mentimeter. So opportunity to feedback. Obviously, evaluation is key to everything we do. So we'll be doing this more often. So either you can put your phone up against the QR code and do that now, or you can do that at some point later. We're not going to hold everybody for the next 10 minutes while we look at that, but I think it'd be really nice if you could say whether you thought the content was relevant to what you thought you were coming for. Oh my goodness, people are starting already. Brilliant.
It would be great if you could fill it in. It's really helpful.
And there you are. The offer is easy to understand. Did we manage our time? And again, I'd just like to thank Emma and Christine, who are still on call, and Russell, because we didn't really have to twist anybody's arms, and it was great. They were the first three to ask. purely because they were ones that we had early engagement with, so we thought they were probably the best examples, but we could have called anybody from any of the regions really to say where they are. But thank you very much for your time, you three. It was much appreciated, and I hope that people found that of value just to see what's going on in the other regions. And who knows, we might end up doing something like this as a conference or something, or in addition to the seminar or something like that. But if we find that really useful, that's great. Good. Well, that's looking really good. Thank you very much. And the second screen is, I understand, the benefits of regional collaboration, and it'll help your library service. And I want the regional collaboration to be a success. Oh, well, that'd be good. I better get on the QR code, haven't I? Yeah, we're not being restricted. And of course, you know, the all important question, do you have the time? You might have the you know, the desire and the drive, but obviously we have to be respectful and mindful that actually what we're asking and, you know, consumes your time, and your time is valuable, and trying to make that as efficient and effective as we can is really important to us. So great. Good. Looks like the red's good, isn't it? Well done. Okay, so can I also express my thanks to Tabitha as well? I know we'll be doing that tomorrow at the team meeting, but it's been absolutely fabulous to work with somebody of such dedication and skills, and she's really set us on the right track. I think it feels very much like the putting the engine on the track. We don't quite know where the track's going, so I think of what Wallace and Gromit, where Gromit's laying the track. I think we'll be doing that ourselves, but you've put us on the right track and headed us in the right direction. I know Clancy and I and Chad will be following in your examples, but thank you very much for everything you've given, and I know you're just going to be over there on the ASCL side, and we look forward to working with you closely as well. Okay, so thank you, Tabitha.
Well, I've loved it, and I know that the direction you're going in is forward, so that's good. Keep going forward and working together. It's been brilliant, and I'm really chuffed to bits with the Mentimeter. So thank you to everybody for filling that in.
Is in progress. Welcome. My name's Nick Partridge. Great. So without further ado, I'll call proceedings to an end, but thank you all very much for your time today, and hope you found that useful. And we're a few minutes early, so it will be recorded and available. So please, if you found it useful and you think somebody else in the region might have found it useful, once it goes on to our YouTube, Libraries Connected YouTube channel, we'll be posting on Basecamp how you can get access to that. But there we are. Thank you very much for your time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
soon.